Looking at our world from a theological perspective. This is the Theology Central Podcast, making theology central.
Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, October the 18th. We're going to have to stop my microphone. I'm going to have to adjust my microphone there. Okay, let's do this again. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. It is Tuesday, October the 18th. 2022. It is currently 9:34 a.m. Central Time, and I'm coming to you live from the Theology Central studio, located right here in Abilene, Texas. And I apologize for that kind of a messy opening, that my intro wasn't perfect because everything is discombobulated here, right? Okay, typically for years, whenever I do podcasting, the computer is always to my left. It's always to my left. But today I have moved it over to my right because of something we're trying to do. All right. So I was holding my iPad in my left hand I'm like, wait, I've got this. Typically I'm holding the iPad in my right hand, but if I hold it in my right hand, then everything is opposite today. So it was causing me a little bit of confusion. And then I hit the microphone, which knocked it completely out of whack. So welcome, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Yes, my intro was not good. But speaking of intros, well, you'll understand why I'm emphasizing my intro here in just a minute. Now, I don't know if you've been with us, but we are currently in the process of building a brand new podcast series from scratch, from the ground up. And I have invited all of the listeners to participate, to be a part of the process, all right? So I've come up with the idea. The idea is this. As Christians, we are too distracted by a million different things. We are distracted by the things of the world, and you may not even realize this, we are distracted by the things of God. What do I mean by that? You've got a million Christian podcasts. You've got a million sermons available. You've got Bible study, devotional guides. You've got church. You've got small groups. You've got a million things going on, and a lot of times you bounce from this to this to this to this to this to this to this. But guess what? You never take any real time to meditate, to focus in on one thing and spend the day focusing on that one thing, because you bounce around from this to this to this to this. So I thought, you know what? Let's create a podcast series where I turn on the microphone and I'm like, welcome to today's focus. And we focus in on one thing. I give you one thing to focus in on for the entire day. I don't do like a full-blown teaching on the subject. I just kind of introduce, here's what I want you to focus on today. Here's what you should focus in on today. It may be phrased as a question. It may be phrased as a statement. I may take something from a verse. It may be something from a systematic theology or a confession of faith. It could be from anything that I'm like, here you go. And the goal is that the podcast episodes would be no longer than 15 minutes. All right. So no longer than 15 minutes. And that I would just give you one thing. Sometimes I'll do maybe a little bit of a teaching, maybe you look up a Greek word or a Hebrew word, maybe quote from something. But the key is to get that whenever you start your day, or whatever time it may be, you're like, okay, I need something to focus on spiritually. Here you go. And then it would be yours for the rest of the day. You could think about it, meditate on it, talk to other people about it, talk about it on social media. And then hopefully by the end of the day, you'd be like, wow, that podcast series, today's focus, man, I focus on that one subject all day, and I got something from it. It benefited me spiritually. So I came up with the concept. Currently, the working title, Today's Focus. Some of you sent me a lot of great titles, a lot of great ideas. I did do a search today to make sure that we're not violating, like there's no other podcast out there called Today's Focus. I could not find anything. I found something similar, but Today's Focus seems to be unique, at least enough. I don't think we would have a problem. So I think we're going to call it Today's Focus. We need kind of a description. I think someone wrote out a description for me, and I think it's pretty good. We may have to use that. but that will be when we are creating the series and creating everything and creating the podcast. We'll have to type out a description of what we're trying to accomplish. But really the goal is, here is one thing to focus on for your day. I mean, I don't know how we would write it out, but I'll have to work on that. So you can still help me in helping write out the description if you would like. But the goal, I mean, I think I've made it pretty clear, is to give someone that one thing to focus on for each day so that they can hopefully meditate on it and grow spiritually. That is the goal. I think it's a needed goal. I think it's a necessary thing right now. I really do. I think Christians are so distracted, and that's where there's just no spiritual depth, no spiritual thinking. Our thinking is so controlled by everything else. And you say, but I listen to sermons. Yeah, but if you just bounce around from one thing to another, what are you really gaining from it? So we've got the title. We kind of have the concept. Someone is supposedly working on artwork for me right now. So we may have some artwork coming soon. And as soon as we do that, we'll go ahead and create the series page for the Church One app and the Sermons 2.0 app. We'll have the artwork. I'll have someone help me write out a description. We've got the title. All right. So we've got, I think once we get the artwork and we get the description, we're getting close, but we needed intro. Now I could either pay to have a spoken intro done, and I still may, depending on the success of the podcast series, I still may do that. But in the meantime, I started looking for some music. Now, a lot of you started checking around and sending me links to music, and y'all gave some great suggestions. I mean, whoa. Everyone had some good suggestions. Now, some of the issues was, well, wait a minute. Okay, wait, that would be really good. But because people can be very picky about music. So I got to try to find something that'll be quote unquote, not controversial. Also trying to find the proper length, right? Some of you sent me clips that were like 7 seconds long, and I just don't know if that works for a proper intro, right? So I kept messing around, and I found something this morning. I went ahead and paid for it. It cost a little bit, but that's okay. And you say, why did you buy it? Because I want to make sure we are not in violation of any copyright, right? So I purchased music on a site where you can purchase intros for your podcast and that type of thing. Now, the problem is the file is 42 seconds long. You say, well, you could trim it down, but if I trim it down, I don't think it works properly. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to use it where I start the music, then I lower the volume, and I come in and say, welcome to today's focus for Tuesday, October the 18th, 2022. It is currently 9:42 a.m. Then increase the volume, let the intro play out, and then say, today's focus is, and then give us the subject or the concept in which we're going to look at. So I'm going to try to do this in real time. No rehearsal. I'm going to try to do this in real time. But I want you to at least kind of get the feel for what I'm trying to do. Now, remember, the whole reason we're doing this is, one, I just think it's fun and unique for you to kind of see behind the scenes someone trying to put together a new podcast series, all the things that go into a podcast series. A lot of times people think it's just, I don't know what people think. I think people don't appreciate all the work maybe someone does to create content for you. All the work. You got to come up with the artwork. You got to come up with the concept. You got to do this. Then you got to create all the content. And then you got to try to how you're going to do your intros. There's a lot. And there's always plenty you can criticize. But I think sometimes in criticizing, you should just appreciate the people are out there, at least from a biblical theological perspective. There's people out there working hours and hours and hours, usually no pay, right, to try to bring you the spiritual food, encouragement, challenge, rebuke, trying to help you spiritually. And so I'm hoping when we get this put together, one, you'll kind of appreciate the process and all the work that goes into getting it ready. And then once we start it, I hope every day you'll tune in for 15 minutes of me trying to say, hey, focus on this today, and you'll actually participate and you will focus. Doesn't mean you can't do anything else throughout the day, but just, maybe every hour or so you go back to today's focus. Go back to today's focus. You go back to today's focus. And some people, I think some people have a hard time. I don't think people really like to spend a lot of time focused on one thing. I think I loathe this word. I hate this word. Some people say, I get bored thinking about the same thing. And I hate the word bored. I've never been bored 1 second of my entire life. I don't understand how a human being living on this earth with all the things available to us could ever be bored, but they are. But if you're bored by just trying to meditate and think on one concept, that's a bad sign. I think that's a sign that your thinking and your mind has been so negatively impacted by a culture that's always like, here, look over here, look over here, look over here, look over here, look, butterfly, 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 dog, cat, look, sky, rain. And it never stops. It never stops. It's just, boom. It's like one cut edit to another cut, cut, edit, jump, look. And sometimes you got to, whoa, everyone stop. I'm going to focus on this today. Oh, I'm going to do other things, but I'm going to go back to this concept. I'm going to focus on that, but I'm going to go back to this concept. All right. So is everybody ready? You want to hear me try to mess this up? Okay. Because I still struggling with exactly how I should be. It's going to be like, welcome to today's focus, but I'm going to be tempted to say, welcome to your today's focus. That doesn't work. Welcome to today's focus. I think that's the way we're going to do so. So, all right, I'm kind of trying to rehearse before I get started and don't make a fool of myself live on the internet. But you know what? I've never been too worried about making a fool of myself, right? So here we go. You ready to hear kind of an impromptu just test to see? Now, you may hate the music, and I'm ready to get the emails. Go ahead. I'll just go ahead and write down the email address now, newsif@yahoo.com. newsif@yahoo.com. Go ahead and criticize the music. Some of you are going to be like, wait a minute, that's not what I picked. You're garbage. I understand. I just think that this file gives me the ability to I think I can make this work. I think. If you don't think it works, let me know, right? And it may not have anything to do with the problem with the music. Maybe the one speaking. You're like, find a new podcast host. That's the first thing you need to do. You're garbage. I understand. But are you ready? Here we go. I was getting ready to hit stop. That would have been bad. I would have stopped the live broadcast. All right, here we go. We're going to try this in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everyone, to today's focus for Tuesday, October the 18th, 2022. It is currently 8:47 a.m. Central Time. Today's focus is the word servant. I want you to think about the significance of being a servant in your Christian life. Do you truly see yourself as a servant? But how important is that concept to your spiritual life? Do you think that there's a lack of understanding that we are called to be servants? Who are we to serve? How should that impact your Christian life? That's what we're going to talk about today for your today's focus. All right, there you go. I kind of messed it up a little bit. See, I just said for your today's focus. See, I did that once again. But for today's focus, I said it was 8:47 a.m. when it was 9:47 a.m. So yeah, I made a few mistakes. Some of those mistakes are irrelevant. But what did you think of the music? What did you think? You see how I can kind of manipulate that? Let's try it again and let's see what you think. Here we go. Let's try one more time. Welcome, everyone, to today's focus for Tuesday, October the 18th, 2022. It is currently 9:49 a.m. Central Time. Today's focus is the word servant. Today, I want you to focus on this concept of being a servant, and I really want you to try to answer this question. How important is the concept of being a servant to your spiritual life? How important is that concept? So what we're going to do is we're going to look up the word servant as it's found in a couple of passages of scripture, just so that you have a few scriptures. But mainly we're going to look at the Greek word. And then I want you to just think about it, discuss it, talk to others about the significance of being a servant. There you go. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think about that? Did that work a little bit better? I hope so. That is currently, now we're going to mess around with that. Some days I may just do this. Some days I may just start the podcast this way. Welcome, everyone. Here is today's focus. And then just start that way. See, once again, welcome to today's focus. I need to say welcome to today's focus, not welcome to, or welcome, here's today's focus. What do you think is the right way I should say it? Welcome to today's focus. I think that works better. Welcome, here's today's, I guess I could say that. Welcome, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Here is today's focus. I guess I could do it that way as well. I'm still trying to see exactly how I want to start. I also could start, welcome everyone to the podcast series, Today's Focus. The goal of this series is to give you something to focus in on that is spiritual, that will help you in your Christian life. Today's focus is, there's a lot of different ways. Once I become comfortable with it, then obviously I'll use lots of variations. But I do have a tendency, I will still say, welcome everyone. I will give the date. Some people hate that I do that, but I always give the day, the month, the year, the time, because it places a timestamp on each podcast episode. So when you listen to it and I make some reference to something going on in the culture or politics or something in popular culture, you'll go, oh, okay, I know why he's mentioning that. It was October 2022. Everyone was talking about that in October 2022. I like having the timestamp. So that's my focus. Okay, the neighbors are doing something. I don't know what I don't know what they're doing over there. I'm like, what is that sound? Okay. Yeah. So I will ignore the neighbors, but back to this. So I think that I will give the timestamp. So I'll probably will say, welcome everyone, give the timestamp and say, or I may say, welcome to today's focus. I could do this. Welcome to today's focus for Tuesday, October the 18th, or whatever day it is. Welcome to today's focus, and then give the date. Or I could say, welcome everyone. It is Tuesday, October the 18th, 2022. Here is today's focus. I could do it that way as well. So I think there's going to be lots of acceptable variations that will work. I know what you're saying. Man, who cares? I know you don't care, but you will care if I say it incorrectly. You will say if a subject-verb agreement is wrong or this is wrong. All of the mistakes I typically make, trust me, someone will email me and tell me. So you don't care until you care. Okay. So these are all the things you have to worry about in the making of it. So we've got the concept. Today's focus is a podcast to give you something to focus in on, one thing to focus in on of a spiritual nature to be spiritually beneficial to your Christian life. All right. So we've got the title. We kind of have a description. I kind of gave a description there. So we got the title. We got the description. Artwork hopefully is incoming. And now we have possibly our theme to the Today's Focus podcast series. What do you think? Do you like the music? Do you like me speaking over it that way? Now, I do have to do a lot of, and you hear that click. Now, right here on my software, I can mute the mic like this, and you don't get that click. The only problem is when you're trying to reduce the volume and mute your mic and undo the mic all on one mouse pad, it's easier because the mute button on the microphone is right in front of me. So I can hold my thumb right there. So like say I'm playing it. Watch, I'll just show you. I'm going to. Welcome, everyone, to today's focus, Tuesday, October the 18th, 2022. It is currently 10 a.m. Central Time. Did you hear all the clicking? Now, it's easy for me to do that because I can just keep my thumb literally on the mute button. So I wish it didn't give the clicking sound. I wish it wasn't there. But, trying to do it on the mouse pad is just the mute button is way down to the right. The volume button for the audio file is way over to the left. And it's maybe if I perfected that. Now, and if it was a radio broadcast, I'd have a producer behind a glass window taking care of all of that. I would just sit in front of the microphone and I don't have to do anything. But there you go. That's what we have. That's what we have. And you say, well, when's going to be the first episode? Well, I want to do the first episode soon, but I want to make sure that everyone. So far, I think most people haven't had a problem with today's focus as the title. The description, I think most people. In fact, I think I got a description someone wrote for me. Hang on, let me look here. I think I got a description someone wrote here. Let me look here. Get a lot of emails here. Let's see here. Where is it? Okay. Where is it? I gotta find it. Their description was your customizable 15-minute blueprint for the day. I like that. Your customizable 15-minute blueprint for the day. I like that. Maybe your spiritual blueprint for the day, or your spiritual focal point for the day. There's lots of different ways we can do it. We'll. Do you hear that sound? What is that? I don't know what that is. It sounds like. I'm trying to look over there. I can't see. All right. You talk about interrupting you in the middle of a live broadcast. What is that? See, I'm not doing any teaching, so I can be a little, typically I would just have to keep teaching and ignore that, but that's loud. Okay. All right. So you may not be picking it up on the microphone, but yeah, I will definitely have a number of people write out some descriptions and we'll get that. We'll post that. So be looking on Sermons 2.0 or the Church One app. Look for the podcast series, Today's Focus. Artwork incoming. We'll get the description typed out. We now have music. We'll see if people give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And if everything works properly, we may do a podcast, our first episode. Obviously, it will be done live, and we will shoot for it. Again, the goal is to be done within 15 minutes. I'm not going to try to hit the 15-minute mark every time. I'm going to try to get as close to 15 minutes. Well, I'm going to try to be under 15 minutes every time and hopefully never go over 15 minutes. But that's going to be, put it this way, I'm not going to sit there and practice 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 until I get an episode under 15 minutes or at 15-minute mark. I'm not going to be that precise, but my desire is to keep it short. So if someone's driving to work or they have a quick break and they just need a quick spiritual focus, there I can provide it quickly. The goal is not to do extensive teaching. Now, what can happen is I give the focus, like let's say we do the servant thing, right? And then later I'm thinking about the concept. I'm like, oh, wait, here's a good passage. And then I may then do additional teaching separate from that episode, but related to today's focus. So if you know the focus for the day, then you hear teaching later, you're like, oh, there's connection. And some of you realize how my podcast episodes sometimes start developing a theme or there's connection. Some of you catch on, others do not. I love when people catch it and go, oh, I see what you're doing. And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. Okay. Sometimes I try to be too clever, but there you go. I think it's a good idea. I think it's important. Put it this way. Even if it doesn't help anyone else, it will help me sit down and go, okay, today my focus is going to be this. And then throughout the day, I go back to that focal point and really meditate on it so that I can grow spiritually. All right. There you have it. That's where we are in the building of this podcast series. We're getting closer and closer and closer. And hopefully we can do our first episode soon, right? And it would be interesting if you could tell me when you would. Does it matter to you when the episode is available? Does it matter? Do I need to do it early? Because obviously some days things don't. Obviously some things don't work out. Some days I won't be able to do it as early as you would like. Some days some of you may prefer I do it later, like do it late in the evening. Like today's focus, and do it like at 10 o'clock at night so it's ready for you as soon as you wake up in the morning. Or if you hear it, you start thinking about it when you go to bed, wake up and focus on that. Do you prefer it to be posted early, late, or do you just really don't care? You can let me know that. Let me know all your thoughts about this new endeavor to build this new podcast series. You can email me, newsif@yahoo.com. newsif@yahoo.com. All right. I think we're on to something here. Just when the ideas are in their infancy stage, right? When they're brand new, some people will immediately just dismiss it and say, that's dumb. But I hope you'll let us stay with us until we can flesh out this new idea. I think we can turn it into something very useful. So today, your focus is, what do we need to do to get this podcast series ready? And what can we do to make it the most helpful and beneficial to as many people as possible? All right, thanks for listening. Everyone have a great day.